No price talk and no Lambos. This is not another crypto podcast. Welcome to Ignition. I'm your host, Jillian, and each week we will be looking at the problems solved by blockchain. I'll be going deep with the people building the apps and communities which are changing the world around us. So hello and welcome to EOS Dublin's podcast called Ignition with me, Jillian Gotzel. And today, my guest of honor is Anne Connelly, who's faculty with Singularity University and also founder and co-author of Trust graphic novels. Welcome to the show, Anne.
Thanks very much.
Well, we're going to start off, I think, with the second title that I gave you. I will go back to the university now, but the second title, founder and co-author of Trust graphic novel. What a great title and what a great project. So I guess maybe to start off, graphic novels, they're quite popular these days, aren't they? How would you describe them in general?
Graphic novels are making a huge surge right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the passion people have around superheroes and all the movies that we're seeing coming out, and also the industry itself broadening its scope in terms of being more inclusive. And, we saw the great success of films like Wonder Woman and Black Panther. And I think we're seeing the same benefits and the same changes in the graphic novel industry as well. And so that's one of the things that we're hoping to do with our project is make that space much more inclusive.
Brilliant. So your role, you're an author, so you're a wordsmith?
I'm a wordsmith, but more importantly, I'm a blockchain educator. And my goal really is to help the world understand more about the technology, how it works, but most importantly, the bigger picture of why that's important. And so I do that across a number of my different roles. But this is certainly the most exciting of the projects I have on the go at the moment.
Okay. And am I right in saying there's one particular graphic novel you're starting off with? Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I'm working with Chief Nehemiah, who is an incredibly talented artist out of Nairobi, Kenya. And together we're working on a graphic novel that's going to tell the story of a young African woman from Kenya who learns about blockchain and uses it to empower her community to be really the model of what a decentralized community can be in the future. And so our goal with this story is fundamentally to help as many people as possible, particularly youth, to learn about the technology, get inspired, get excited, and make that the spark that ignites the learning for the future of their career in blockchain.
Okay, going back to, I'm going to mangle his name, Chief Nehemiah.
Nehemiah, yeah.
Nehemiah. I'm trying to do a German thing on the W. Nehemiah. So he's a young artist. So he's actually doing actual graphical pictures.
Yeah, that's correct. So we're working together very much. He's going to craft the story and make sure that it really represents, where he's from and his community and what that looks like. And I'm bringing in the blockchain elements to show, what the potential of the future would look like using that technology.
And how far are you in the novel? How long does it take to write a graphic novel, to produce one, I suppose?
It takes quite a while, actually. We're just at the beginning, and we're very exciting. We're starting to bring on partners and that type of thing, and we expect to have it launched by early next year.
Wow. And you have the story arc already in your head. It's now a question of putting it on paper, so to speak, or on computers.
Yeah, we're developing, the story, we have a concept in mind, but it's ever evolving, that's for sure. So it's one of those things where sometimes you have an idea of where your lead character will take you, and then in the end, you actually she takes you somewhere else.
Wow. And tell me, who's the audience for graphic novels? Is it a young population, or is it across all ages?
It's across all ages, and it's also across all genders too. 50% of graphic novel readers are female as well. So it's what we're hoping really is we want to make graphic novels accessible. So one of the goals of the project is that we'll make the digital version of the book free and open to access for anyone on the continent, with the goal of reaching over 1 million African youth. So We're really very focused on making this the most accessible opportunity for people to learn, and make it available to learn in a really fun way.
So you were saying that your main character in this graphic novel is looking at a decentralized community. That's something you lecture on as well, isn't that right, in Singularity University?
That's correct. Yeah, I teach with the university, and one of my favorite things to talk about really is helping people understand what a decentralized community and society could look like, and what that means when you disintermediate banks and governments, and how we as human beings actually adapt in this new world.
So that's my question for you. What does it look like?
Very different. I mean, when you think about how we've structured our society, everything is built on third parties. Everything is built on the backs of government and corporations and this type of thing. And, we've slowly been seeing a shift of power away from governments and over to corporations. You can just take a look at what's happening with identity. Everyone uses their Gmail or their Facebook login for different things, whereas that was never possible before. And now with blockchain, we're seeing the shift of identity over to ownership by the individual themselves. And we're starting to see that shift again with money going from, fiat currencies. And now we've seen with the launch of Libra moving over to more corporate currencies. But again, with Bitcoin holding down, sovereignty of individual ownership of money. And so really, it's going to completely restructure the way we think about how a society could and should run. So it's a very exciting prospect, but it's one that will take a lot of change. And I think that's going to shake things up quite a bit.
I read some commentary recently and it said, isn't it interesting that this week President Trump and Jerome Powell are both talking about Bitcoin? I mean, they don't like it, but they're both talking about it. So it's
huge. It's really
happening.
You're correct. The shift is absolutely happening. Just, to have a time where a president recognizes the impact of crypto to the point where he's tweeting about it, that is enormous in terms of adoption and what that means and the seriousness with which they are now taking cryptocurrency. And so it's a very exciting indicator for our industry.
And tell me, how did you first get into blockchain? What was your entry? What was your entry drug for blockchain?
I started reading about Bitcoin on Twitter in 2012. And at the time, I was working for the humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders. And the first use case that I thought about was how I used to carry knapsacks full of cash through Central Africa. And we needed that cash to be able to pay our staff. But the thought of having a knapsack full of money and not having to do that anymore, I mean, the efficiency gains would have been amazing, but also the safety and the security of the person doing that would have changed everything. And so that was the beginning. And then you start to learn about everything else, you go to remittances and then to inflation protection and all these things. And then once you learn about decentralization, you just can't go back. It's really, a whole new way of trying to solve some of the same problems I've always been passionate about.
So I'm noticing you call it Doctors Without Borders, and of course over here we call it Médecins Sans Frontières, the MSF. So the French thing. How did you get involved with that? Do you come from a medical background or a marketing background, or what drew you to MSF?
I've always been passionate about healthcare and ensuring everybody has access. And so I did an undergrad in science and then my MBA, and realized that, there was significant potential to have roles on the management side of executing some of these projects. And that was the beginning. So I missed my MBA graduation to go and work in Central African Republic. And it was a very difficult but inspiring experience.
And how long were you based in the African continent?
On and off for a couple of years. I was in DRC in Central African Republic. I also worked on a blockchain project in South Africa in 2017. So I've been in and out. So I do have a love for the place, but I am definitely fundamentally Canadian.
Yeah. And how did you meet Chief Nehemiah? Practice.
Chief and I met at Singularity University back in 2016. And
okay.
We both did a program they have there that essentially teaches you how to use exponential technology to solve problems that impact 1 billion people or more. We're really trying to take the mindset of change away from these 10% incremental increases and really think about how do you make this 10 times better than it is today.
Wow, that's quite an ambition, isn't it?
It is.
You sound well up for it. And you're also a TEDx speaker, I think?
I was, yes. I did a TEDx talk in Ottawa, Canada, looking at the future of freedom and how blockchain has an impact on accessibility of human rights around the world. So it's a very exciting topic.
That's cool. So just to finish then, to go back to the Trust graphic novels, I love the idea. I'm a writer myself, so I love novels. And I love the idea of comic books. You go back to that, it's from my youth, the Beano and I can't remember. It's such a long time ago. But so you think this will be the first of many, you reckon? And it's
That's the hope. If this one is as successful as we want it to be, what we can do is work with different artists from around the world to support them in telling their own community story and how blockchain can change their community. And so that's really our dream, is helping as many people, and particularly youth around the world, to get excited about this technology and what it can do for the world around them.
So your shout out is twofold. One is for artists and secondly for sponsors.
Well, yeah. So first and foremost, sponsors, community groups, particularly those based in Africa who want to be involved and help us access those tech and education networks that can reach, or help us reach the million youth that we're hoping to reach. Those are the big pieces right now in making this a success.
Brilliant. And where do people find you if you want to go look?
You can find us on Twitter right now. We're at Trust Graphic. And you can find me on my website at anneconnelly.ca.
Perfect. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Anne. It's been fascinating.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.